I've been selling Esporao for 4 years and then working with them directly for 2. So I worked for a distributor in Colorado, Terra Nova, who sold the product, and I quickly fell in love, probably like the number one Portuguese salesperson in Colorado, and asked my now boss, Pedro, if there was any opportunities that I was definitely interested in pursuing that, and there happened to be one. So I actually went out there, rented a car, and drove from south to north and back again, exploring all the regions of Portugal. And it really made me realize kind of the treasure that Portugal has. I mean, kind of, you think about France and Italy as far as like, if you think regions, like, oh, Bordeaux and Burgundy. But Portugal is the same way. It is all about the regions, and those regions have very unique microclimates. And wine from Alentejo is going to be completely different from the Douro or the Dow or Braiada or, the Minho. They all have their own special sense of terroir and place, which that is my favorite thing about selling Portuguese wine, is that just for a tiny little country, a lot of big wines and a lot of fantastic wines, that they're all massively different from each other. All 225 of them? I think the main ones that you're going to see mostly and that are actually grown throughout Portugal are going to be Touriga Nacional, Alicante Bouschet to a certain level, and then Tempranillo, but in the south it's known as Aragonés, and in the north it's known as Tinto Roriz. There's Trincadeira is another big one, and then for white varietals you have, which is also kind of interesting, going back to the regions, kind of like France and Italy, like every region kind of has their sweetheart grapes. So like in the Dow, it's Encruzado for the white. In Alentejo, they do a lot of Entovage. So it is kind of interesting to think about the varietals in that aspect, and what you see grown in the south is going to be different than what's grown in the north. And at Esporao, we grow 200 different varietals. We use 33 main ones that go into our blends and our single varietals. And we actually have an experimental vineyard that we use to explore different indigenous varietals as well as international varietals. So a grape like Semillon, David Baverstock, our chief winemaker, he's Australian, so this was like his little project, and it turns out Semillon does fantastic in Alentejo. And it's not Semillon that you get in Australia or France. It's Alentejo Semillon, but it still tastes like Semillon. It's very cool. Our private select is actually 100% Semillon now, because it just does so well. Like we do, 100% Bordeaux, we do 100% Touriga Nacional, Alicante Bouschet, and then we actually do 100% Petit Verdot and Syrah. And we just started, that'll be released later this year, 100% Trincadeira. One of the most appealing things about Portuguese wine, besides really cool varietals, is that you get a $20 Portuguese wine and it tastes way beyond a $20 wine. It's up there with a $30 wine, or just, again, fantastic values. Even the $10 wines, you get so much bang for your buck. So the tower that's on our label, that is kind of what we formed the property on, or around. So that it's the defense. Exactly. Yeah, it's actually the property dates out to 1267, but it's never been separated since that time. And our CEO Jose Roquet purchased it in 1973. And then, that Civil War thing happened.
I heard something about that.
Yeah. So the Roquet family went to Brazil, and then they were able to come back, get the land from the government, and started building the winery. So the youngest son, João Roquet, is now the CEO and leading us into the future.